After more than 2 weeks of marathon talks, Iran and 6 world powers appear close to finalizing an historic nuclear deal. U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry told reporters outside the talks in Vienna that he is hopeful. The talks are aimed at permanently preventing the development of an Iranian nuclear bomb in return for the lifting of sanctions. CCTV's Richard Bestic has been following all of this as it breaks from Vienna. Richard, John Kerry says he's hopeful. When do you anticipate we'll finally get a result?
Well, firstly, Susan, it does look like we are getting a lot, we're getting near to a deal here. The agreement will need to be checked overnight by officials. There are something like 100 pages. That means we'll probably get a result nearer tomorrow afternoon rather than early morning. However, for the first time in the 16 days I've been coming to Vienna, it does look like we do have a new positive atmosphere here. The US Secretary of State's newfound optimism was in contrast to his darker mood earlier in the week.
I think we're getting to some real decisions.
I think we're getting to some real decisions, he said. There were a few tough things to do, he added, but he was hopeful. After several missed deadlines, Iran and the 6 powers had given themselves till Monday to reach a deal, curbing Iranian nuclear ambitions in return for a lifting of sanctions. French Foreign Minister Laurent Fabius, like Kerry, said hopes were high for closure on 2 weeks of hard talking. I hope we are finally entering the last stage of this marathon negotiation. John Kerry attended Sunday Mass in Vienna's Gothic St. Stephen's Cathedral, where Mozart was married. The discordant mood music beyond Vienna possibly reflecting the struggle ahead for the US Secretary of State when he tries to sell any nuclear deal with Iran to critics in Washington. One Washington lawmaker critical of the nuclear deal spoke to Sunday morning news outlets.
We already know that it's going to leave Iran as a threshold nuclear state. So I think it's going to be a very hard sell if it's completed in Congress.
Another positive note, Susan, Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov is back in town. Now, he's something of an icon in Iran, and there would be no agreement without him in the picture. He'll help Iran's Foreign Minister Javad Zarif sell the deal to hardliners in Tehran because, like John Kerry, Zarif too has his critics back home.
So, Richard, what is the next step from here?
Well, barring any last-minute hitches, there could be an announcement late morning, and the negotiating teams will then migrate en masse to neutral ground, most probably the United Nations building here in Vienna. Officials in the building behind me have a long night ahead of them checking that draft. But also there's one potential item that could bring about some delay. They will need to draw up a UN resolution. That offers the potential for disagreement. But broadly speaking, Susan, it's optimism and, as you heard in that report, hope all round in Vienna.
Richard Bestic, thank you for the update live in Vienna.